I've only got equipment to kind of cater to the online gigs, and like I don't know, like I played a couple of online gigs, and I went out to a friend who I met through Facebook, and I played a song, and he said it's crazy, like it was how good you sound in person compared to what you hear on Facebook. So like that's what I can understand. Like you're not getting like you feel you're not getting that your full potential across. Do you find it yourself? Like
See, I mean, remember I was saying about, I'm primarily like a bass player,
yeah,
sort of, when I join a band, I sort of, I'm like the backseat driver sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I've always been like a sideman,
mm,
so being at the front doesn't come naturally to me. I mean, I don't practice vocals. You only have to listen to a couple of my songs to hear that. You know, I'll sit and play with the instruments, for, as much time as I can. But I just don't practice vocals. My songs do suffer for it. But, it's the way it goes. But I don't know. I mean, I always work better when I'm playing with people. You
yeah,
know, it's that sort of, it's that moment when you're sort of reacting from whoever's up front singing this or whatever, who's playing the guitar and stuff, and you're sort of hovering between that and the beats of the drums and stuff, and you're always on in that sort of instant between the beats and the strums and stuff, and you're sort of tying it together and stuff, and
it's nice. You're all in
it's
sync.
a great place to sort of be, like the engine room of music.
Yeah,
Um, I don't mind sort of getting up there and just sort of doing it, myself.
yeah,
But it's always better to sort of hear other people doing it with you, because you know sometimes they'll hear it or they'll see it on paper or whatever, and they'll have their own sort of take on it. Like, oh, hang on a minute, I never thought of that. You know, I
so
mean,
it's all
there's
bounce off each other. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's a few years, well, say a handful of years ago. I mean, I'm not religious in the
mm,
slightest, right? But my wife's family are. So when we got married, I said, well, you go there every sort of Sunday and stuff. I mean, her family had sort of buggered off to Somerset. We were still in London at the time. I said, well, look, you've always gone with family. I'll go with you. I'm just thinking, well, cake, coffee, first thing in the morning, great. Someone else is doing it. Someone else is getting breakfast. Go down there, have a chat with people. Fine. It's a social thing. Inevitably, I ended up being drafted into the band. It was, playing the stuff and things. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great way to start the day, even if you're not religious.
yeah,
um, so like as a charity thing, because there's a local charity, Homeless Action in
oh,
Barnet.
nice one.
Um, the church had taken it off of their annual benefactions sort of thing for that year. And I thought, that's a shame. Maybe we should sort of do some sort of like a gig or something, a fundraiser. So we did the first year, and it was just like the golden age of Hollywood stuff. So we got loads of sheet music from like The Wizard of Oz and The Sound of Music and Gershwin and Cole Porter and stuff. We had like maybe 20 songs or something. So we had like 10 people in the band and 10 people in a choir,
Nice.
right? So we probably raised about 700, £800 just on that gig, like a 90-minute
Jeez,
gig.
that's
It's not bad
no,
going. So I
no,
thought,
no
well,
doubt.
let's do it again. And then I had my hands wrapped a bit by one of the sort of church vergers or organisers and stuff. He said, "Listen, our PRS sort of arrangement only covers us for religious music." I thought, oh, all right, okay. Well, you do all those songs every week. How can you make that a thing? I thought, hang on a minute, we can write new ones. Can you imagine like someone who's not religious writing religious songs. Yeah, I wrote about 14 that year,
No way.
specifically for that
That
thing,
is mad. That's mad.
and they were largely okay. But there was a few instances in there when they're looking at their eyes going, "What? You know, that doesn't even make sense." I'd one that was called "Jesus Came and Kicked the Butt of Satan." So you imagine playing that. Yeah,
As I said, you have
and
some great names for
yeah,
songs. That's a
um,
cracker.
and that was fun. I mean, it was sort of it started off a bit like Sheen as a punk rocker. It was that sort of feel, but
Yeah.
salsa.
That's great. That is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's a few
I
there's a
tell you,
few sort of things in
you're
there
gonna
which
have to
were
put up your some your religious songs now onto the group. I'm sure some of them would love to hear that now.
yeah.
Especially
I'll show you.
Jesus Kicks
I'll show
Satan's
you
butt.
some of them. They're
Yeah.
fun. They are a lot of fun. But if you're looking at it from a purely religious standpoint, it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
pinch of
well.
salt.
I'm I'm sure we'll probably have a couple of complaints about it, but definitely stick them up because I'm sure people will enjoy them. Yeah. So you were saying you kind of primarily work with bands. So like when was the last time you were in a band, like an actual band? Like obviously it's before COVID, but and which Stephen says
2015.
I have COVID, but
2015.
2015,
2015. I
and
was in
was
a
it
band between it was a band called the Kim Conspiracy Theory.
conspiracy theory?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's some sort of local gossip thing. I didn't come up with the name. Um, but it was um it was this guy who was a little bit older than me, and this transsexual drummer. Um,
don't see many of them
and she was obsessed with
around.
she was obsessed with Susie and the Banshees, and that's
Yeah,
fine. Susie and the Banshees were a great band. Um, but when you want to do something that's a little bit more, well, imagine like my sort of magpie style writing stuff. Like one song is like very much sort of, I suppose, like a mariachi sort of thing. And the next one is a bit more sort of buzzcocks. And then the next one was like, I don't know, Jesus and Mary Chain or something. And then you throw in, I don't know, something from Greece. You know, that's that sort of style sort of thing.
yeah.
If they're all doing sort of like heavy on the toms, drumming and stuff, and big sort of power chords on a guitar, it's like, well, it's all starting to sound a bit
Mad.
homogenous, and I'm like,
Sounds to me like a train wreck about to happen. So
some of it worked very well,
yeah,
but that, you're talking like 30% of it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the rest of it was sort of like just ploddy pub rock that sounded like, and I'm like, mm.
Sure is fun. Sure is fun to play.
Yeah, I
That's what it's
mean, I've
all
sort
about.
of kept, I've sort of kept the ones that did work. I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at my sort of stuff on YouTube, Wax and Bone, Shut Up and Play Your Guitar, they came from that.
Oh, nice. I like that. Shut
Um,
up and play your guitar. That's a very good song.
yeah. Um, so um, yeah, they worked very well with it, but it was the other stuff. It was just a bit sort of ropey, really. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So it's 2015. I'm just looking at a comment there, but yeah, Stephen McGarry has Jesus kicks Satan's butt and transvestite drummers. Sounds like LA. I like that. No, it's the LA of the UK. It's Devon.
I tell you what, life is never boring if you're playing with other people,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're trying to write your own stuff because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to be reinterpreted, or even, as usually is the case with me, when you find out that you've directly ripped off someone else's song, and you've got to rewrite stuff or sort of rejig it so it's not quite there and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got a song called I Once Heard You Talking. I had this sort of melody in my head going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the chords are sort of following here and there, and I'm like, that's really good. But I sort of got to the chorus and stuff, and I'm really trying not to sing. I don't wanna talk about it. And I'm like, hang on a minute. So I looked up the chorus to it. I'm like, I'm bloody playing that song. So I thought, all right, okay, let's change it. Let's change it so it feels very different. It's still the same chords, but it's a different sort of feel.
Melody sort of, yeah.
And I was saying earlier about the other song, Darkwood Chicken, which is basically the Enter the Dragon theme,
Yeah,
which I didn't realize until a week or two later. I'm like, but
I'm
it's
sure that
different
happens to
enough to
every
get away
musician
with
out
it.
there. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's what I said. I'm sure that happens to every musician out there. So right, we get on to the hard questions now. What's the very first single or album you ever bought with your own money?
The 31st.
What?
Did you say the
No,
34th?
no, sorry, the very first. What's the very? Yeah,
I
that's
said
what I
the
said.
34th. So I can
I know
remember the first one. I can't
there's
remember
going to
the
be
30th.
Americans watching. I'm going to have to slow myself down as well. Yeah, no,
The
don't make
very,
me say it.
the very first,
33rd,
the very
33 in the
first
third.
single that I bought was 19 by Paul Hardcastle.
Nice, nice. To be honest, never heard him.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have.
I
It's
probably
just
have, but